So I've got a number of gaps within my silicone, which is actually causing me a problem, and replace it. Welcome to Dim Tips, the channel that repairs, revives and restores. Please subscribe below for more videos just like this to help you improve and restore various things in and around the house and outside the house. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just wipe down where I've actually taken the tap off. Do check out my previous video where I'm actually replacing the tap. And now I'm going to strip this out. The tools that I generally use for this is, first of all, Stanley knife. Cuts in nice and well straight into the silicone. The other thing that I use is actually a scraper, just to scrape elements off the bath, being very careful not to actually shred into the bath. And this is another scraper that I've got, a little bit rusty, but works really well in and along the tile. So let's go ahead and do that. There's actually a screen here. I'm going to remove this because what it will allow me to do is, when I'm actually going to be resealing this, it's going to make my life a lot easier. So I'm going to remove the actual screen. It's just a couple of screws across the bottom and a couple across the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and move the screen, which actually protects from water going outside of the bath. So let's go ahead and remove the rest of the screws. Holding the screen, make sure it doesn't fall. Okay, that's gone, and now I can actually remove the screen without destroying the glass. Okay, I removed the items from the screws, from the bottom holder as well, and now I can see, look, that's where the actual water was leaking through. So now I'm going to get my Stanley knife and just go to town on this. Okay, what I'm going to do is try and keep on the tile side and just scrape down the side of the bath. Being careful not to hit the fiberglass or plastic bath as I'm doing so, and then just underneath as well, doing the same thing. Again, being careful not to scratch the actual bath itself. As it's gone. Perfect. Now it's just a case of a couple of things. Either I can pull it out using just that, or the actual scraper that I have, and just getting underneath it, making sure I get as much of the silicone off as I can, and then just stripping it out. So there we go. And I'm going to keep at it. Just keep doing that until I can get off as much of the bulk of the silicone as possible, and then I can start focusing on the smaller bits. So just across the top like such, and continue on doing that until the bulk is removed, and then it's the next step. Okay, now that the majority of it's actually off, so what I'm going to do next is just use a scraper, this one here, and just actually go against against the bath, removing as much silicone again as possible. If you don't have one of these, you can just use the blade of a Stanley knife. I found that to work well, or actually just the scraper itself. It just takes a little bit longer, but effectively you'll still get the same result. And then doing the same thing across the top of the tile with your scraper or a nice knife like this. Just makes life a lot easier. What you want to make sure is you've got all of the silicone off. Okay, I've removed all of the silicone across the side and left a little bit there, just across the top edge. And in addition, I had to remove as much from this area here, where it was actually joining onto the glass cover or shower guard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start filling this up, not underneath here because you do need a gap between the bath and the actual tiles. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to give the surface a little wipe down. I like using sugar soap. Don't know why, it's just something that I like using. Being careful not to get it behind the tiles, because if I do, this is going to cause problems. And just making sure I give it a good wipe down. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to install the tap. The reason for that is that I find, and this is just a personal preference, you can do it beforehand, it will make your life probably a lot easier, is that just the weight of the tab and everything along those lines can actually maybe adjust how much it's against the tile, and therefore then you don't necessarily have the same amount of flex in the silicone, but it's a little bit harder. But don't worry, we've got a few tools to help us with that. So let me just install the tab. There's also another video which you can check out in regards to the full installation, and then we'll go ahead and start filling the side and then get ready, prepped and ready for actually putting on the silicone. So I'm ready to apply the silicone onto the actual bath to seal the tiles against the actual bath lip. I had some silicone available, it was a bit old, unfortunately it had actually cured quite far into the actual nozzle, so I had to cut it right back. I tried to take as much of it out as possible, but it's just one of those things. But it's not the end of the world, because actually all I want to do is just apply it. I'm going to try and keep it as light as possible, and then I've got a tool to just tidy everything up. So let me just start here, right in the corner. Gonna just be a bit light. And it's okay if I'm not perfect, because I've got a tool to actually smoothen this out, because it's not going to be this thick. And just right to the end. So I've got my finishing tool. I'm going to go for size 6. I can go for larger, but I think I should be fine with the bar. And all I'm going to do is start from one side and just spread it across. Now any excess I just take off at some point and remove that. Now the other thing that I can do, if I do want to reuse it, is just spread it across here, because it should do. Perfect. But I want a clean line, so I'm just going to wipe this off and then continue on. The corner was quite difficult. One thing that I was able to do, and it's okay, I haven't finished it yet, but is scrape off the excess using the side of the actual edge, the finishing tool. So you can scrape off any extra, reapply, take it up the various corners and just keep working it, and each time progressively applying more pressure each time, because to start off with you don't want to be applying too much pressure because you want a bit of excess, and then you want to continue that on. Now I'm just going to finish up down the side, the back of the tab. You can see that although it was messy in regards to how I applied it, the tool is actually great at scraping off the excess and then reapplying and ensuring that you get a nice finish. So I'm just literally continuing on and removing off the excess, just scraping all of the silicone off along the sides, which I know is now too much, and then I just rework it. It gives me a little bit of time. I've got to be careful not to, or to ensure that I do not take too much time, because it may cure by then, but just removing off the excess and then reworking it on each side. It is a little bit finickier behind the tap, but I'm just going to continue on working it and then you'll see how it looks. Okay, that's not so bad. There are some bumps across the silicone, but that's okay. Now that I've actually scraped off the excess, got it as close to as good as I can get it, what I'm now going to do is just do the finishing off, which is using a bit of washing up liquid and putting a little bit, dabbing a little bit on your finger, not too much, and then just running it across to smoothen out the silicone. Just gets it nice and straight. Just get it to look that much better. Okay, now that's finished. Happy with the outcome. Looks a lot better. Please don't forget to check out my other videos, especially around the bath where I'm installing a tap, as well as fixing various items like the plug hole as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Please don't forget to check out my other videos. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below.